quick, come here. Look, I know you're annoyed about the match last night. I am as well. But in this video, I'm going to talk about everything you need to know about the match against Porto. So sit back and relax because you're in the right place. And make sure you stay till the end because I'm going to talk about why this defeat will help us in the game against Newcastle on the weekend. So I don't know about you guys, but I was so disappointed with that defeat last night. I honestly believed going into that game, Arsenal were going to win. No one could have convinced me that Porto, would sit tight, sit so compact, and then nick it with a jammy goal at the end. And I'm going to say jammy because I think it could have been avoided. I believe Declan Rice could have closed them down. Now, I'm not blaming Declan Rice because he's been one of our better performers this season. Declan Rice has been amazing, but he probably could have shut that ball down sooner. And maybe the fact he got a yellow card affected his decision-making in that moment. And that's all it takes in games like these. In the Champions League, that's all it can take. Declan Rice was walking on eggshells from the second minute. Imagine playing in the Champions League away from home with a European ref and you get booked within 2 minutes. You're always going to struggle. And I still think he had a fairly decent game, but I think the goal could have been avoided. I think David Raya's positioning was off. I'm not going to blame David Raya for the goal, but I believe he was way too far out. I think David Raya should have done better. I think Declan Rice should have done better, and that's all it takes in the Champions League. But there's other reasons I believe Arsenal lost this game. Look at the team selection. We played the same team 3 times in a row. People are going to be able to guess what you're doing if you're playing the same team 3 times in a row. Look, we've had success. I understand. I know we've had success. And the team probably did all learn their position. And if you're coming at it from that point of view, I get it. Listen, Arsenal players for the last 2 games have been unbelievable. We've way over-exceeded what I expected. I didn't expect a 5-0 win and a 6-0 win back-to-back. Of course, the players have earned their position. But as the manager, sometimes you need to make these decisions and, you need to look at a player and say, yes, you've played well, but I need to go for a different look in this game. The Champions League's always difficult. Porto have not been in a good run of form in the league, but this just goes to show the Champions League is different. You need different tactics. You need to do different things in games like this just to secure the win, and that's exactly what Porto done. Porto had the perfect game plan against Arsenal. Look at the way they were so tight, so compact. At times in that game, they had 5 midfield players. They had a back 4 that was quite narrow, and they had 5 midfield players. The wingers would drop in, and the striker would drop in. That's why Arsenal didn't have the success that they had in other games. That's why Declan Rice, Havertz, Odegaard wasn't able to grab a hold of this game because it was so packed out with Porto players. They didn't come to play, or they didn't allow us to come there, and they wasn't going to play expansive football. They wasn't looking to be fluid or attack or press high up the pitch. They was looking to stay compact. They stayed deep. And Arsenal didn't have the answers on the night. And that's okay. Sometimes that happens. Sometimes you go to a stadium and it's just not your night. Sometimes you go to play against a bunch of players and you just can't figure it out. And I think that's what Arsenal's problem was. The wingers wasn't very effective. In my opinion, Martinelli looked way more effective than Saka in this game, but he didn't get the ball enough. The ball wasn't played on that side because Havertz doesn't have the playing ability of Odegaard. Odegaard was linking up with Saka. Odegaard and Saka did have, some nice balls played between each other. They was able to break the lines and Saka was able to whip the ball in a couple of times. Martinelli didn't have that on his side. When he got the ball, he seemed isolated. He seemed on his own. So if the ball was being played to Martinelli, he had to do most of the work himself. He didn't have the option of linking up with Havertz because he's not that kind of player. And in hindsight, look, I probably would have played Jorginho. I did pick the team before the game and I said, this is what I think Arteta's going to go for. And I picked the exact same team. I guessed Arteta was going to do that. If I can guess Arteta's going to do that, Porto's coach can definitely guess that Arteta's going to do that. So Arsenal need to be slightly less predictable. In the Champions League, like I said, you need to show different things. And that's where these Arsenal players struggled. There were some nerves out there. There was a lack of experience out there. Our most experienced player in this competition is an ex-Chelsea player in Havertz. And he didn't have the best game. He wasn't leading from the front. He wasn't speaking to these players and telling them what a game like this demands. And that's what you need in these kind of games. Listen, the more times Arsenal play in this competition, the more they will get familiar with playing teams like this. Arsenal are a better team than Porto. No one's denying that. But you don't always win a game based purely off talent. That's not the way it goes sometimes. If Jorginho was in this game, he would have offered different dimensions than Havertz. He would have been able to link up better with Martinelli. He would have been able to get Trossard involved a lot more in this game. Trossard isolated as well. No wonder he got dragged. And I don't mind Trossard in that centre-forward position. In certain games, he does have things to offer. But you're away in the Champions League. You can't play Havertz and Trossard. Essentially out of position. Now, Havertz has never played as an 8 in his career until now. Not on a consistent basis anyway. Trossard hasn't played up front on a consistent basis. So you are going away in a Champions League against Porto and playing two players that are not really familiar with a position that you're asking them to play. And I know it's because we don't have any other options, but all I'm trying to say is these are some of the reasons why Arsenal lost this game. You know, that Declan Rice booking did affect us. Declan Rice wasn't able to be as aggressive. Now, like I said, Declan Rice was still making some incredible tackles. Declan Rice was all over the pitch. Declan Rice was shutting down. Declan Rice was on players. But he just wasn't able to give that little bit extra. You know, when you can use your shoulder. You know, he was riding his luck early. He gave away the free kick, got booked. And then a minute later, he gave away another free kick. So that was his final warning. If Declan Rice committed one more foul, he would have been sent off in that game. You know, the defence wasn't quite on it. And I don't blame the defence for the goal, but there were some misplaced passes. Saliba, Ben White, they wasn't at their clinical best in terms of being able to find a pass, in terms of being able to get the attack started. You know, and there was even some long balls being played, way more long balls than usual, and you can see why, because like I said, the middle of the park was so congested, so we wasn't able to play through as easily as some of the games we have been able to in the past few weeks. So there were some long balls being played, and there was about 3 or 4 times where we tried to play a long ball and it went straight out for a throw-in. We missed the player by about 10-15 yards. And you can't be doing that in the Champions League. So what does this mean? Does this mean Arsenal are out of the Champions League? No. Look, even if this was, say, an actual half-time and we still have another 45 minutes to play, I still think Arsenal can go and get 2 goals against Porto. We've still got another 90 minutes left to play. Arsenal are not out of this tie. You know, it was a dagger in the heart. It was a bit of a reality check. Like I said, before the game, I predicted a 3-0 Arsenal win. There was people in the comment section saying, listen, I think you're underestimating the opponent here. I maybe did underestimate them. You know, maybe I did think, seeing a 5 and 6-0, I think we could go away to the Champions League and win 3-0. You know, we haven't played in this competition in 7 years. Maybe I forgot what it takes. But there was loads of other people that shared the same opinion as me and thought Arsenal would win this game. There's not many people out there, Arsenal fans especially, that thought we weren't going to win this game. Not many fans from rival fan bases thought we was going to lose this game. Our best chances in that game probably come from set pieces. We had 10 corners and 0 shots on target. Arsenal, the best team from set pieces in the whole of the Premier League, had 10 corners and had 0 shots on target. That just goes to show how far off it Arsenal were in this game. That goes to show the inexperience in this Arsenal team. Look, I think we're going to bring them back to the Emirates and give them a good hiding. This is going to be like when we played Lens. You know, we went away to their stadium and struggled, brought them back to the Emirates and stuck 6 past them. Now, I don't think we're going to beat them that convincingly, but when Porto come to the Emirates, Arsenal will be a different team. Arsenal will win this game and progress to the quarterfinals of the Champions League. But this could be a blessing in disguise for Arsenal. Like I said, this has given us something else to think about. This has gave us maybe a mind shift needed to now looking at other games going forward. You know, we can't be so complacent in games like these. We can't go into these games playing 2 attacking midfielders and a striker that's not even a striker. We need our players back. We need Rice, Partey and Odegaard in that midfield, and we need Gabriel Jesus available. Whether he starts, whether he's on the bench, you need to have an impact coming off the bench in that game. What did Arsenal have? Who did Arsenal bring off the bench that was able to really penetrate this Porto team? I can't think of many options. Let me know. You know, we had Smith Rowe on the bench. We had Fabio Vieira on the bench. It's good to see him back from injury. Was I surprised Arteta didn't use him? Not particularly, because like I said, this is a player who's just come back from injury. Fabio Vieira is probably always going to struggle. But Arsenal need to get our players back, and when we do, I think this will be a different Arsenal side. I'm definitely hoping it is. Kiwior's played so well in the last couple of games, but is he the answer to Arsenal's left-back problems? No, he's not. We need Timber in that position. And if we don't have Timber in that position, we need Zinchenko in that position. We need to get Martinelli involved in the game more. And when we play Havertz in that number 8 role, Martinelli seems way more isolated than he does when a Zinchenko's on the pitch, for example. We know Zinchenko floats into the middle. He occupies more the left-hand side of midfield, and that allows him to play in Martinelli. You know, Martinelli looked the most dangerous player for Arsenal last night, and he may have just had the least touches in the game. We need to play to our strengths in the next game, and I think Arsenal will. I would love to know everyone's thoughts and opinions on this game, though. So let me know in the comment section. And now I'm going to tell you why this could help us in that game against Newcastle. Listen, we don't have much rest in this game. We play Saturday at 8 o'clock. We're Thursday already. So by the time we've travelled back to England and the players have had a day's rest, the game day will be upon us. But Arsenal will have to switch their team up. So there will be a level of unpredictability going into this Newcastle game that Newcastle won't be able to prepare for. We're not going to be able to play the same team against Newcastle that we have against Porto, that we did against West Ham and Burnley. And that's a good thing. Because West Ham don't know if we're going to play Jorginho in the middle. They don't know if we're going to play Havertz up front, or if Jesus is going to be back, or if Partey's going to be back, or if Tomiyasu's going to be back, or if Zinchenko's going to be back. And that's why Arsenal have a way better chance in this Newcastle game. But there's more reasons. This loss will confirm to the players that they can't be complacent. You can't go into any game with the wrong mindset. You need to be at it 100%, otherwise you're going to lose games. This loss in the Champions League could actually help Arsenal in this title race. That could give them flashbacks to last season where we ended up bottling it and then we fell off. This Arsenal team now should hopefully be thinking while they're sat at home, listen, we done this last season. We lost the game and then that streak continued and we kept losing games. That can't happen this season. Mikel Arteta, the coaching staff, they need to be on these players. They need to be getting them into the right frame of mind. And that starts on Saturday against Newcastle. Arsenal can beat Newcastle, and of course I'm going to have videos coming up about the Newcastle game in particular. I'm going to be breaking it down, so make sure you're subscribed for that. But like I said, I want to know everyone's thoughts and opinions on this game. Did you expect that from Porto? Did you think Arsenal were capable of losing their first leg away at Porto? Listen, it's a 1-0 loss. It's not the end of the world. Am I shocked? Yes. Was I devastated last night? I was upset because, like I said, it was a shock. I wasn't expecting it. I didn't think Arsenal could go to Porto and lose the game. I didn't expect that. With the way Arsenal are playing, I thought Arsenal still, even with that same team, would have had more than enough to deal with that Porto team. But I'm okay with being wrong. It happens sometimes. Like I said, let me know your thoughts and opinions on everything you've heard in this video. Thanks so much to everyone for watching and listening. If you enjoyed the video, do me a favour. Just hit like. It helps me massively. And I'll speak to you all in tomorrow's video. Gooners, have a good day.